Did you know that Japan was once a land of fierce samurai and powerful shoguns, isolated from the world for over 200 years? Today, it stands as a global technological superpower. In this video, we'll explore Japan's incredible journey from a secluded, feudal society to modern greatness. Join us as we uncover key moments like the rise of the samurai, the Meiji Restoration, and Japan's transformation into a world leader. Let's dive in. The early days, Japan's first settlers. Long ago, Japan was just a set of beautiful islands in East Asia, and it was inhabited by humans for over 40,000 years. These early people came from mainland Asia, bringing important skills with them, like farming and metalworking. Over time, they created settlements, and by the 3rd century AD, Japan had begun to establish kingdoms and centralize power. The first kingdom, based around the Yamato region, started to form, and it laid the foundation for what would later become modern Japan. This was the beginning of Japan's long history. The first real shape of Japanese society was centered around a king called the emperor, who became the symbol of the country's unity and strength. However, Japan wasn't entirely isolated. Many different groups of people from the Asian mainland influenced Japan. For example, Buddhism came to Japan in the year 552 from Korea, helping shape Japanese culture in many ways. Japan would continue to evolve with cultural exchanges and influences from China and Korea, especially in the realms of government, art, and religion. The rise of the samurai. In the 12th century, Japan went through a dramatic change. The emperor's control started to weaken as Japan became divided into several powerful regions. The land that was once under the emperor's rule slowly slipped into the hands of local military leaders called samurai. These warrior clans, such as the Minamoto and Taira, fought for power. The power struggle reached a peak in the late 1100s. In the end, the Minamoto clan emerged victorious, establishing a new military government, called the Shogunate, in 1192. For almost 700 years, Japan was ruled by the shoguns, not the emperor. The samurai warriors were now the country's most powerful group. Their job was to protect Japan from invaders, and they were very skilled at it. The samurai played an important role in defeating the Mongol Empire, led by Kublai Khan, when the Mongols tried to invade Japan in 1274 and 1281. Both times, the Mongols were stopped by fierce storms, which the Japanese believed were sent by the gods. This became known as the kamikaze or divine wind. During this period, the samurai became not just warriors but symbols of honor, loyalty, and discipline in Japan. They adhered to a strict code called Bushido, which guided their behavior both on and off the battlefield. These values have continued to influence Japanese culture to this day. The Age of Uncertainty, Civil War, and the Warring States period. As time went on, the samurai system started to break down. In the 15th century, Japan entered a period of almost constant fighting. This time was called the Warring States period, where powerful warlords called daimyo fought each other for control of the country. It was a time of instability, betrayal, and bloodshed. Ninjas and Buddhist warrior monks even became part of the chaotic mix, carrying out covert operations and influencing the battles that would determine Japan's future. One key moment was the introduction of guns to Japan in the year 1543, when Portuguese traders brought them over. This changed the way battles were fought, as now warlords could use firearms. The samurai, who had once been invincible with their swords and bows and arrows, were now facing new threats. Christianity also started to spread in Japan at this time, with missionaries working to convert the Japanese people. The government became fearful of foreign influence, and as a result, it cracked down on Christianity. The unification of Japan, Tokugawa Shogunate. After years of civil war, a new leader named Toyotomi Hideyoshi began to unite Japan. Sadly, he died before finishing the job, and his successor, Tokugawa Ieyasu, took control after a major battle in 1600. Ieyasu established the Tokugawa Shogunate, which would rule Japan for the next 268 years. During this time, Japan experienced peace and stability, allowing art, culture, and trade to flourish. However, not everything was perfect. The Tokugawa government enforced strict social orders, controlling who could travel, marry, and even what people could do. They also made Japan completely isolated from the outside world. For over 200 years, Japan's borders were closed to almost everyone. Foreigners were not allowed in, and Japanese citizens couldn't leave. The end of isolation, the Meiji Restoration. By the mid-1800s, Japan's isolation started to hurt its economy. Western countries like the United States were growing stronger, and Japan needed to catch up. In 1853, a U.S. fleet led by Commodore Matthew Perry arrived in Japan, forcing the country to open up its ports for trade. This event made Japan realize that it had to modernize quickly or risk being overtaken by foreign powers. In 1868, the Tokugawa Shogunate finally fell, and the Meiji Restoration began. This period was a turning point in Japan's history. The emperor was restored to power, and Japan started rapidly adopting Western technology and culture. They built railways, set up schools, and even created a modern military. Japan wasn't just copying the West. It was transforming itself into a modern nation. Japan's rise as a global power. By the end of the 19th century, Japan had become a powerful nation. It quickly turned its attention to neighboring countries. Japan fought in the Sino-Japanese War in 1894, defeating China and taking control of Korea. A decade later, Japan defeated Russia in the Russo-Japanese War 1904 to 1905, marking the first time an Asian nation had defeated a European power in modern history. Japan's victory made the world take notice. By the early 20th century, Japan had firmly established itself as a major military and economic power. But Japan's thirst for more land and resources led it to become more aggressive. Japan expanded its control over much of China and Southeast Asia in the 1930s and 1940s, which eventually led to conflict with Western nations. Japan's role in World War II. In 1939, World War II broke out, and Japan was one of the Axis powers alongside Germany and Italy. Japan's army had already taken over parts of China and many islands in the Pacific, but it wasn't enough. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, causing the United States to enter the war. For a while, Japan's military was successful, capturing more territories across the Pacific. However, by 1945, Japan was facing defeat. The United States dropped atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, causing Japan to surrender and marking the end of World War II. Post-war Japan. Rebuilding and transformation. After the war, Japan was occupied by the Allied forces, led by General Douglas MacArthur. Japan was disarmed, and the emperor was forced to renounce his divine status. Japan's government was restructured, and a new democratic constitution was written. In the years that followed, Japan focused on economic recovery. With the help of the United States, Japan rebuilt its economy, becoming one of the world's largest economies by the 1960s. Japanese companies like Toyota, Sony, and Honda became global leaders in the manufacturing of cars, electronics, and technology. By the 1980s, Japan was considered an economic superpower, and its culture, ranging from anime to manga, fashion, and technology, became famous worldwide. Japan in the 21st century, modern Japan. Fast forward to today, and Japan is a country that blends ancient traditions with modern technology. With bustling cities like Tokyo, Japan has become one of the world's most influential nations. Japan is not only a leader in technology and innovation, but also a major force in global finance, culture, and environmental sustainability. Japan's innovations in robotics and AI have pushed the boundaries of technology, while its government continues to focus on economic growth, sustainability, and regional diplomacy. Despite challenges such as an aging population, natural disasters, and regional tensions, Japan has maintained its position as one of the most influential countries in the world. The country's ability to innovate, adapt, and overcome has ensured that it remains a global powerhouse. Japan's future is bright, and it will continue to play a major role in shaping the future of the world. Japan's journey from the days of samurai warriors to becoming a technological superpower is nothing short of amazing. Its history is full of triumphs, struggles, and incredible transformations. Whether it's learning from the past or building a brighter future, Japan shows the world how a nation can evolve and thrive. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Japan's history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the past. What part of Japan's history fascinates you the most? Let us know in the comments below.